So you,
5 minutes.
I've never been to one of these, so you'll have to coach me on what you want for information.
Okay.
They just throw you in the deep end.
That's okay. That's okay. I run to the bottom and.
Hey, guys,
I'm like,
get ready to go, okay? Good morning. My name is Jack Dearborn. I'm chairman of the Town of Ware Capital Improvement Program. This is September 20th meeting. And with that, I'll ask the board to introduce themselves.
Sherry Burdick, Selectman.
Gary Shelto.
Steve Roberts.
Thank you. This morning, we're going to try to get through this really quick and finish at 9:30. People have commitments. And what I'd like to do is start off by nominating, we got somebody coming here? Nope. There is a somebody, but not the right person. We need to nominate officers.
I'd like to nominate Jack Dearborn, Chairman, and Stu Richmond, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Thank you. Okay, looks like we have the fire department this morning up first. In order.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Assistant Chief Mark Rourke with the Fire Department. I will be taking over as the acting chief starting October 1st. So I apologize in advance. This is my first CIP meeting with you folks, so I have information here. You just let me know what you would like to see. I have the same paperwork that's in front of you folks now.
We'd like to concentrate on the 2024 requests that you have.
Okay. 2024 request is a replacement of a aging engine. Actually, it's our engine 1 that's being replaced. That engine has actually been out of service now for a while. It failed pump testing and there is no parts available to fix it. That engine currently is housed over in East Ware. So the apparatus that we're looking for is going to be a full Class A pumper, so it will be housed at the central station, naturally being brand new, that'll be housed at the central station. The current the current amount that's in the CIP now is $850,000 for the projected cost of that replacement of that apparatus. We are in the process of getting some quotes, and the first quote we got back is on the lower end, and it was kind of a cookie cutter apparatus. It wasn't up to the specs that we gave the company to go by, and that came in at $929,000.
So what are the attributes of this? Is this a single rear axle?
It's going to be modeled after our current engine 2 now. It's going to be a single axle 2,000 gallon per minute pump, holding 1,600 feet of 4-inch hose and having a water capacity of around 1,800 gallons, 16 to 1,800 gallons of water. And where that's a huge problem we have naturally is water supply, so we have to fit as much water as we can on the truck.
Is this a four-wheel drive?
Excuse me?
This four-wheel drive?
It is not four-wheel drive, no.
Okay. And how much money do we have in the fund currently? Beth, do you have a number?
Right there. 600.
633, 672, I think is the current, what we have in the,
Going to be coming up, yep.
And what do you usually bring in for a year? 150?
around 200,000 is what we're going. Give or take on each side of that.
So when do you think this will actually be purchased, the actual take receivership?
Well,
18 months?
if we order, if the truck gets ordered and gets approved in March, from the time we put in the order, it's 583 days till delivery.
18 months?
So we are talking, a substantial amount of time, which
Okay.
is another year, over another year worth of revenue coming in.
Are all these for 2024? All these?
No, nope,
Which other one you got for 20, if any, for 20?
nothing for 2024, just the engine.
So you want these to be marked up for our CIP 6-year projection?
Correct, because looking at them, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but looking at them, moving out the price of an ambulance, we have it slated at $300,000, and I can assure you that it's not going to be $300,000. It's over that now.
Yes.
The ambulance that we're receiving. So in 2 or 3 years, all these projections need to be a higher amount.
Okay, so your portable radio replacement, this is for what's on your person?
So, yep, the portable radio replacement.
How many?
Okay, well, each radio is roughly $5,500 a piece.
How many? You
Well,
looking for?
it would march out to about
20?
15, just below 20, 18 to 19 radios.
Okay,
Now, I want to just kind of throw out there that going over the budget, I would like to see the CIP only handle vehicles. So next year, I would rather not spend the $97,000 and take the radios out of that. And my projection is I would like to put the radios into my own budget and buy 2 radios a year over and have that just kind of melt into my budget, and I will try to march those items out. I don't believe that putting them in the CIP, there's not enough money there, so I think it should be just for right now, it should be just for concentrate on the vehicle replacement.
okay, Chief. Well, I guess that's on the other half of the budgeting side?
That's correct.
That's with the select board?
Yep,
And
absolutely.
if that comes to fruition, next year or if at least it appears it's gonna happen, you can pull this out of here.
Correct. That was my intention, to pull that out next year.
Very good. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
The engine that you're gonna replace, what year is it and how many years has it been in service?
It's right here. Vehicle one, 1980s.
1987. And that is a international 4-wheel drive.
Thank you.
20 plus.
Yeah, it's seen its lifespan.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
See you next year. Who is on the pile next? Who would you like? Oh, chief? Yep. Come on down, chief.
All right, so in front of you, I did you a notes page for our PowerPoint, which Beth's going to pull up, and I'll go ahead and start since we're on a time crunch. This is pretty consistent with what we do annually. We're attempting to initiate an asset lifecycle program for patrol vehicles. They would have a 6-year life cycle, be replaced at approximately 150,000 miles. Vehicles should be scheduled to be replaced at the end of their life cycle to minimize excessive repairs and unavailability, and we are seeing excessive repairs this year. Just to also let you know, back in February or March, we were down to 1 patrol vehicle out of 5 available for the fleet. So that was quite a challenge.
And
That
what was
our-
that basically for breakdowns?
One was rammed intentionally during a police pursuit.
Oh.
One was, of course, approved and still being upfit, and that should, vehicle 7, which was the last approved Tahoe, is almost at completion. We just have to put the computer in it. So really, we had 4.
got it.
One was a transmission, which was an extended repair. One was an engine, which was under warranty. That was repaired.
Yep.
So it
Okay.
nailed us. The next slide is just how our fleet is divvied up. We no longer have a vacant vehicle We did get that replaced last year with Patrol 7, which is getting ready to go in service. The asset life cycle essentially consists of 4 stages: planning, acquisition, operation, maintenance, and disposal. This is all about the planning stage. We're asking for 1 vehicle. The Congressional Budget Office projects interest inflation at 3.3% this year. So additional cost at that projected increase is $2,690, and we paid $81,500 for vehicle 7. So the total cost we're requesting.
How much was that for the,
So last year's vehicle was $81,500 final cost. Congressional Budget Office is, and this is page 2 of 4.
3%?
Right, 3.3% interest is projected from the Congressional Budget Office for 2023, which amounts to $2,609. So total projected cost is $84,190, and that's without any grants being applied or anything like that.
Okay.
We were able to get computers and stuff like that at grants, so we're hoping to drop that as we apply for grants.
And the equipment that you currently have out of the vehicle will not be suitable?
Not yet. It would be, so going from Dodges to Tahoe, the equipment wouldn't fit. The radios are already beyond their life cycle, most of them. But they have to be repurposed anyway in command vehicles. But yeah, 2028 is when we're projecting to actually start recycle equipment into vehicles, as long as we get 1 vehicle per year. And we'll go over that in a separate spreadsheet a little bit.
Okay.
Nope, 1 too far. The WPD back up 2. Yep, there you go. This is just where we're projecting for the next 10 years. If you notice, 2023, Vehicle 1, we did apply for a grant for a command vehicle. We have received word from the state that that grant was approved. We'll get final notice, I checked yesterday, within the next week. And then, of course, there'll have to be a public hearing for acceptance and everything like that.
What's the value of the grant? Enough to cover a vehicle?
So I put it, when I applied for it, it was in 8 different upfit stages. Vehicle itself, we take whatever they would be willing to give us.
Okay.
We're pretty confident they're going to give us the full upfit, $81,500.
Would that be enough to buy it, given the 3.3%?
Yeah, because we're going to buy it this year, right now. Those are current costs.
Okay.
Any excess would just come out of my budget.
So just so we get it straight, you're going to get one out of whoever's pot of money you're going to get it from, which is really taxes. And you're going to also request another vehicle this year?
Correct.
Okay. So,
Yeah, that gets us back on track.
thank you.
Command vehicle, that's okay. Command vehicles are scheduled under this life cycle plan to be replaced every 12 years. All the patrol vehicles get replaced every 6 years. And you can go to the next one. And this is the sheet I was talking about.
Now,
This-
Chief, just before you, excuse me,
Sure.
your command vehicles, are they going to be passed down from patrol?
No,
So you,
it's a different upfit.
Okay.
It has a different mission.
Okay, so.
They have extra radios in it and different equipment. It's to take control of a scene at an instant, under the instant command system. And we could see that, like, with our fight bomber this year. That was another incident the town had that we really didn't have the equipment for. This is kind of how I broke it down with the different upgrades to the vehicle. But if we didn't have life cycle management, if we just piecemeal our vehicles, we get them on occasion, like we've got 2 vehicles over the last 4 years, this is what we'd stay, and you could see under the total vehicle cost how that increases with the projected annual inflation. How to read this is the cost for the year. The annual inflation is projected at this amount, but the cost would actually impact in 2024. So it's this plus this equals that. So that's how to read that chart. If we adopted life cycle management and actually put this in the budget and got 1 vehicle a year, 2028 is when we start seeing savings, and it's almost $16,000 a year, and that's without the resale of the vehicle or any grants that would be applied. So we're looking at $35,000 below what these costs are. That's what would happen if you adopt this program.
So you're basically selling them off at auction?
Correct.
Okay.
And when I look at current prices for a 6-year-old Tahoe with anywhere from 130 to 150,000 miles, they're $12,000 to $15,000. still in value. But that's, especially with the Dodges, that's when we're seeing significant repairs. I've already far exceeded my budget, and we'll see this in a slide or two, if you go to the next slide.
Thank you.
And right here. So this is our fleet management history. You can see back in 2016, we were $56,000 for repairs. Last year, we were just under 17,000. This year, I've already exceeded 17,000, and I just paid a bill for, I believe it was 2,300. And the repairs we're having to do with the Dodges, and I'm not even touching the Explorer because we're getting rid of that on the grant. But exhaust systems, struts, we just did the struts on 4, that was $2,300. Significant repairs. We know the transmission's getting ready to go in 5. We've already replaced the transmission, I believe it was in 2 earlier this year. So all of these repairs are going to be consistent across the Dodges because they're just not meant to be used in police patrol for that type of period.
Now, what's your budget for maintenance cost?
So it's $20,000,
Okay.
but I've split that in half where it's $10,000 for repairs and $10,000 for maintenance. And usually that's pretty consistent, as you can see, $20,000 here, $16,800 here, just under 16 or under 17,000 here. I'll definitely be over 20 this year, and I know I'll be way over 20 next year because of the repairs to the Dodges.
Okay.
Okay. And next slide, and that should do it for the vehicle. We have a surveillance system in our building that is absolutely gone. We're considered a haven for those in need of police assistance. All those who visit the agency deserve an appropriate level of protection and sense of security. In those instances when our members are engaged with duties, which is frequently in the building, or off the premises, surveillance video footage may be the sole provider of definitive visual evidence that can resolve legal disputes and minimize liability. We've made multiple arrests because of our video surveillance system. Monitoring prisoners back in the booking room, we've seen evidence being hidden, we've seen intentional destruction to our property, we've been able to witness assaults in front of the building. Without that, we can't take action on that. It leaves a very large hole for liability. If you can go to the next slide. This is what we put into the video surveillance system, trying to maintain it. And what it is, it's an analog system with a digital system. They tried to get a component to make them talk to each other, to project it to our monitors. And the last notes, when they last came to repair it, in June, customer has a very old analog video system using an RF modulator to push the DVR images to multiple monitors. He could not get it online. It's still down. In 2021, they told us we'll need future replacement because it's just not, it wasn't a good design. And like I said, it's totally broke. But in the past, since February 2020, $3,730.60. We had an individual, if you go to the next slide, who came in. He represents a local company. He also does all the McDonald's, so he's probably used to the pricey systems. So our initial number was pretty high. He was from Euro Electronic Systems. We have to wait for a funding source to put out an actual RFP to get actual bids, but he said it would be low 30s. So I projected this warrant article at $35,000. I will have that in my budget, of course, and I'll bring it to the Board of Selectmen later this year for approval. So it will be no tax impact in my recommendation. But obviously, we have to get this system fixed. But once we can actually get the funding approved, we can put out an RFP and get better bids, and I'm hoping it's nowhere close to that number because I just don't see it, me personally. We can't go.
When you say funding, you mean March funding?
No, I have it within my budget currently because of vacancies.
What,
to pay for
30,000?
this. Yeah,
I see.
I'm about 70,000.
Okay.
But I have to wait for end of year purchases and the
Yeah.
board's approval to commit that.
So you're hoping this isn't a capital funded? You're hoping this
Correct.
is a underrun on your operating budget?
Correct, end of year purchase, essentially. But, well, the end of year purchase with the funding committed for the warrant article to
So
be
you,
approved by
over
the
the
voters.
last 7 years, you spent roughly $5,000.
3,700 since 2020. I don't know what it was before that.
Well, I added up your numbers.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we have to have a wired system. I do know that for security reasons. We can't have a,
yeah, you don't want anybody hacking it from.
exactly.
But this will be a digital system?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and any digital cameras we currently have, we're gonna retain, obviously, because they're what we need. So won't need to replace them. So I'm hoping that pushes the cost down too. We just won't know until we can actually put it out for a request for purchase.
So basically, I've heard you about, evidence and that kind of stuff. But also, it'll clear the record of what happened inside the four corners of the building, am I correct?
Absolutely. So if we get a
You
complaint
can't be
against us, obviously,
liable.
that's why we wear body worn cameras.
But this is in addition to that.
Correct, yes, sir.
So will this cover pretty much all the inside of the building?
Almost everything in there is covered by video cameras. Obviously not the locker room or the bathrooms.
Correct.
But I'm pretty sure everything else is covered.
Okay.
Back storage closet's not covered. 2 storage closets.
Okay,
Any questions?
that's it, chief?
All right, thank
Any
you.
questions from the board? Pretty clear, thank you, chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Who we got now? Want to do these? Sure. Now, you soliciting sympathy from that fracture you have on your arm?
It's not a fracture.
Oh.
It's surgery, so
Oh.
no sympathy. It's all good.
Sorry to hear that.
Everybody thinks it's pickleball, but it's not. So I'm here with Parks and Rec Commission, and so just to give you a little bit of background, we're here to talk about maybe creating a recreational facility so that we can enhance our fields that are needed for youth sports. And also look at, as we were here last year to talk about the replacement of the tennis courts, there were questions about the possibility of, if we moved it to a different location. So as we look at this, it's really trying to look at the needs of Parks and Rec over the next 3 to 5 years. So the Board of Selectmen were approached by both the Ware Athletic Club and the Generals football program that they do not have enough fields to accommodate their needs. We have 5 fields currently in town, and some of them are used for multi-purposes. So a baseball field can be a soccer field, that type of thing. But we have 5 fields that are in use right now. Bolton has 3, Purington Field is 1, and then Inison is used for both soccer and baseball, but it's technically 1 field.
What happened to the one on Salmon Road?
That's Puritan.
That's Puritan now? Okay, sorry.
So the selectmen asked Parks and Rec to begin to look at how we could expand field usage for athletic sports. 2 weeks ago, it'll be 2 weeks ago this weekend, we did a site walkthrough with the Board of Selectmen at the East Ware property, the Schmidt Banks property that was obtained in conservation. Public Works was there with us, so we all walked through that property. The original, so it's created some challenges.
Yeah.
So for the budget process this year, our desire was to just have enough money to hire an engineering firm to come in and really lay out a plan for us and say, if we were going to do this, what would the cost be? Because we don't even have the cost for the next 3 to 5 years because we're just not sure what that is. But we do need a site plan done. In 2019, Parks and Rec did come before CIP asking for a site plan. It was never approved, but they were looking at the property beside that, the property that was, I believe, Gordon Brown's donation where the red barn sits on. So when they came, it was tax map 20394. We're looking at 408-123.
Which is where the town of Ware is mining gravel now?
They used to, they're not at the moment, but they were. So I have pulled, the challenges that I found since that walkthrough, I have pulled all the deeds that I can find, minutes from the Conservation Committee, minutes from the Board of Selectmen. And right now, and if you look, I've tried to kind of highlight it, the recorded deeds and maps, basically there was a portion that's highlighted in red that was originally left out that was added back in. This front piece where you see the red is all field land currently.
Correct.
Somebody is haying it and doing whatever with it. We walked the back property, that's where the gravel is. It is a long distance out there. And it is, Public Works was with us, it would cost a fortune to even try to put any kind of fields back there, just to clear the land of rocks, trees, all of that. And I think we would create another situation like we have at Bolton, where it's a long ways in, it's hard to patrol it. We've had a lot of vandalism at Bolton. This year, this past winter, the football field was wrecked by a truck, young man in his truck. We have gotten restitution for that, but we would be liking to have some fields that were a little more accessible. So I did put an estimate in. I have contacted 3 engineering firms in New Hampshire, but I have not heard from them yet to at least get an estimate of what it might cost to do.
But where's your target area that you
So
want
the
to do?
target area is where I have highlighted in red. However,
That's the fields, and I don't think from a conservation, whatever we did for legal work there, is that available?
so here's where I'm at. So I've done a lot of research. The minutes, I have not been able to find a conservation easement deed on the property. I have found a fiduciary deed, a warranty deed, but I have not yet been able, and I've searched the records at Hillsborough County Deeds, I've searched the records here. However, if you look at the minutes of the commission and the Board of Selectmen, when that property was approved, they approved 20 acres for the use of gravel and athletic fields. However, I don't think they thought through that plan, because that is way on the back side of this property.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Yep.
I've been through
So
this.
I also did some research on whether or not easements can be adjusted in the state of New Hampshire, and there are processes. We would, again, have to, I'm hoping to be at the commission, the Conservation Commission's meeting next month. I want to talk to them about it, talk to the selectmen. We either have to determine that this piece of land, we could move forward and have any conservation easements. That portion right there is for agricultural use.
Right.
But that was made, from what I can see, by the recommendation of one selectman,
Okay.
approved, but I cannot find a deed or any documentation that,
The urban legend is that is left for agricultural use. Not that I have any evidence, it's
Right.
hearsay. And that area you got in orange or whatever color that is infinitely cheaper by orders of magnitude than going into the gravel area. Because, I mean, to be honest with you, looking at both sites, that's the only candidate, because it's relatively flat.
right.
It's gravel underneath, so it can be pushed around, and there's loam on top, so it can be reloamed, so.
So here's what the challenge is for the Parks and Rec. Ware has purchased all this conservation land, so we also looked at the property right beside it where the red barn is. It has some easements on it, or some desires to save it for cemetery expansion, so on and so
Correct.
forth. So we have purchased all this conservation land for recreation, but we've put restrictions on it that makes it hard for Parks and Rec, and we don't have the money to go out and purchase property. Where athletics and the football program have requested, in an ideal world, they need 7 additional fields. However, they have prioritized it for us if we couldn't accomplish that. We also know, because I was here last year, that the tennis facility has to have a complete replacement in the next 3 to 4 years. To create a recreational park, a place where youth could go and play sports, adults could go, and it would be in one place. From a maintenance perspective, we're not buying as many porta potties, all this stuff would be ideal. And this property, when we looked at it, as you said, it's flat. It has the ability to do some parking beyond the field, so we wouldn't have to take field space for parking. But we have a lot of work that we're gonna have to do to even, before we engage an engineering firm, is to see if, through all the documents that we can find, can can that property be used? Being that a lot of this was, there is no deed dictating that, is there the ability to go back to the commission, the selectmen, the town, and have it voted for that portion of the land to be used?
I think the first stop on the bus here is get a reading from town council,
Right, so I.
just to see
Yeah.
which ballpark, excuse the expression, which ballpark we're in, right?
So I did
Because-
ask Naomi when I came in if I could be in touch with town council.
Yeah, they know this stuff. I mean, they've
Yep.
done this stuff before. And then they'll have an opinion.
Right. So it may be that the Parks and Rec will come back and say, we're back at square one. If there's some viability there, the reason we wanted to move forward with this CIP proposal is we feel that, and I made an estimate based on what the cost was in 2019, which was just shy of $20,000 to have a site plan done. But if we could get past all the hurdles, and this was a viable piece of land, it would be nice to have the engineering design done so that then we could do the 3-year plan of being able to look at this. And if it isn't viable, well, then we would obviously not move forward, but we would have to start working with the town in terms of more land. I have obtained numbers from WAC and the John Stark. The numbers are growing, the number of youth sports that they're providing. We haven't added fields in a long time. Again, they came to the selectmen have asked us to do this, so this is where we're at this point.
So what number are you looking to put into your
So I
request?
put in 35,000, I believe is what I put in there, yes, 35,000. I was hoping that before I came here today, the engineering firms would have gotten back to me with
So,
at least an estimate of what something like this would cost.
so I guess the question is, what will the product look like for 35,000? Would that be a sort of a conceptual view?
Yes.
And determining whether or not there's enough material there, if you gotta bring more material in?
Correct. It would be a conceptual view, number one, of how many fields could be laid out on this
Yep.
property. So if we couldn't get 7, what could we get? 3 of the 7 fields are multi-purpose fields, so that has a greater, ability to use the fields. We would ask them to give us an idea, could a replacement tennis court be located there? What would that look like, what the cost would look like? What would it look like to put parking in there? Probably some type of water system, a well or whatever, so that we have irrigation for the fields as we do at Inison. And if the road needs to be, obviously, it's just a road through a field. So it would really be a design of, if we were to make this a recreational park that could be used by the members of the community, not just for youth sports, but for recreation, what would that look like and what would that cost? What would the materials be needed? All of that, so that we could come back and say, okay, here's the cost to meet the needs, and here's how we could lay that out over the course of 2, 3, 4 years, so that we could have planning to help the youth sports at the same time when the end of the life of the tennis courts happen, we would be ready to go there. And now we would have a recreational park, if you would, for the town of Ware, as we grow in numbers, both adults and the youth. So that's
you.
really where we're headed.
Any questions of Denise?
I've got one, Denise. You mentioned five parks, but you didn't mention the fields that are up at John Stark or the 2 areas that they use at the middle school.
Yeah, so at the middle school, they use the baseball field, the softball, baseball fields. One reason is because they have a Babe Ruth league, and that's the only field big enough to meet the dimensions. But they have to schedule around the middle school, because the middle school has both a baseball team and a softball team, so they get only what's left over
At John Stark,
at the middle school.
at the middle school.
I don't, from what my understanding is, there aren't availability at John Stark because, or at least WAC and the generals are not using that because the school are using those fields. I can look into that for you.
I mean, I
but-
just think we
Yeah.
ought to know for sure whether any of those
Yeah.
are available.
But the middle school, again, its WAC is challenged. So this year, WAC spent a lot of money. They rented fields from New England College because of the damage to Bolton Field and while it was being repaired. And because of the demand of the football program, the lacrosse program had to rent fields from New England College at a greater cost than normal for them. That's where a multi-purpose fields would be nice, because then they could be used for soccer, lacrosse, field hockey. Field hockey is now a program also. So the programs are growing,
Yeah.
and our field space is not.
Any other questions for Denise? Thank you. Jason, I guess you're cleanup.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Your
Couple new
position, Jason?
faces. Jason Fisk, new DPW director. So, first CIP request I have for you guys is an existing request. It's gonna be, 2 10-wheel plow trucks.
Two?
We have applied for a grant, through New Hampshire DES. Hopefully that's gonna bring the cost per truck down for us, to $56,000 for a 10-wheeler.
So what would the purchase price if you had to buy one?
Total funding be 280,000.
And this is a hard docs body, plows?
Yep,
whole
it's the
enchilada?
same stuff that you guys have seen in the past few years. The trucks that we have are working really well. The 10-wheelers are good for us, get more material in there. With the few help that we have, it's nice to have that extra material we can help out on the way back to the shop or.
Now, you're gonna buy 2 10-wheelers
Yes, sir.
with the, okay, so it's the 12-yard?
Yep.
What's been spec'd out before?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So is this money from the state?
Yep.
Is it from the highway grant?
Nope, it's, they call it a Volkswagen VW grant. It's all centered around emissions. So we're taking a vehicle that, is not emissions efficient, and we're go ahead and buying a new one,
Is this
so.
part of the CARES Act money,
No,
PPP, whatever?
No, it's a VW settlement money.
yeah.
Oh, yes, that's right, too. Yeah, they were caught speeding,
Yeah,
so to speak. Okay, so you're saying for each vehicle, $56,000 is the actual cost?
That'll be the cost for us.
Okay, so,
For both trucks or one?
One. Yep.
Okay.
well, that'd be a great deal if you could do that.
It wouldn't. They've accepted our, proposal, and it's in their scoring process, so, we're just waiting to hear back from them.
When do you think when does the answer pop up?
Deadline was in October, right?
Oh,
for-
good.
October for sure.
So, which vehicles are you, I know it's like a Ouija board to figure out which one's the worst two.
Yep,
But
so.
which one are you looking at?
It'll be the 2 6-wheelers that we have left.
Which is, do you know the numbers?
7 and 8.
T7 and 8. Any questions of Jason on that? I think we see this every year, so it's. Next one, Jason.
Road reconstruction. So, we're gonna be, total funding of 600,000. Warrant article, we're gonna ask for 316, the block grant of about 283,000. Again, similar stuff, what you've seen before.
283 is what you get from the state,
Yep.
and 600 is what the total is, so. you got it. So this is basically, your red roads, which needs to be tore up and redone.
Yep, so it'll be a couple red listed roads as well as some preservation
But you would also, do you do the 1-inch cap from the previous
And
year?
some top coating, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Is this for chip coating as well?
Yep, that's the preservation end of it, be, crack sealing and chip coating any roads that
And
need it.
it's culverts, guardrails, everything else you need?
Culverts, we have a separate line for guardrail work, but, yeah, any road maintenance.
And last year, how much did we get last year? You recall?
640,
How much?
640.
640.
Did it end up being that much?
No, we took 40 off it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did at the end.
Extra from the government,
Yeah.
we held a public hearing for. It was some for bridges and some for roads. We dropped it, I thought we dropped it to 5. I thought we did too. I think we dropped it to 5.
Beth is doing something.
Yeah, it was 500,000 left.
Okay, I thought it slid back because of,
Yeah,
right.
it was 640.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last year, I prepared for this meeting and rewatched last year's. I think the original that Benji had asked for was 600, and then the 40,000 was added on to
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
eventually, we got back down to 500, so we're right back kind of where we were last year at the 600.
For this year's asphalt, do you know what a ton you're paying?
It was,
Uh-oh, he's leaving.
I'm not leaving, I promise. $82.70. That's it.
Went up a little bit.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions of Jason? Jason, you got any other equipment?
We do have, a couple more pieces of equipment.
Are these, yeah.
One of them's gonna be for the transfer station.
Which one is that?
That will be the battery-operated trailer caddy.
So this is like a mule?
Yep, so that's gonna replace our 1988
The green one?
Ford diesel tractor. Yep, the L8000 that's down there. That's currently switching trailers, and we've,
So say a few minutes, so a few words on this. So basically, this thing is, it's got, you just charge it up?
Yep,
And
so
you can move it around?
there's no extra infrastructure we have to go into after the purchase of this. It's a 120 volt charger. It just plugs into the wall. It'll pull 100,000 pounds. That's way more than what we need. Uphill, downhill. It's gonna eliminate our need for a CDLA driver, which we can't afford at the transfer station right at the moment compared to what the market is.
So that's what it looks like on the left?
Yep. Yeah, there is a video if it'll load, but
No. Not loading.
essentially one man can move a trailer with this,
You say a trailer, this is a,
one of our trash trailers.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not a over-the-road tractor?
No, sir, no. It's just gonna be to pull the trailers on and off the building, the same use we're using our tractor for right now.
And have you seen one of these in use?
Not physically in person, but
The internet's so awful here. Yeah, it's taking forever to load.
So Jason, we don't have anybody down there that can move the trailer that works for highway?
we have 3 CDLA drivers, including myself. One of them has a pintle restriction. One of them can move stuff. He's the assistant mechanic. When he's not working on something, he can go over there, but Saturdays we get called in, whether it's me or him. The other one, he's running our grader. So he's typically out on the road in the summertime. Wintertime is up in the air, really. I know there was plans of us getting our own tractor and hauling our own trash. I just don't see it at the current market rate that CDL drivers are being paid.
Right. Well, maybe we got a picture someday.
Yeah, someday, once a month.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, this is gonna be your fifth wheel. It's
Got
gonna
it.
hook right onto the pin of the trailer. It's got an air brake kit on it. So it's got all the emergency features that if something's going wrong, you pull the emergency brake, uses the trailer brakes.
Requires no licenses or training certificates
No
required?
license, no CDL license, no training certificates, nothing of the sort.
Okay.
Are there any towns around that are using that?
Not that I've seen.
Might be interesting to see one in person, looking at it.
There's one over there attached to it, it's attached to that group.
Well, you move the trailer in and out, it's all paved on there, right?
There's some concrete and pavement, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not gravel. It's,
No, this will actually, they say it works on gravel as well, on all sorts of surfaces, but there is,
probably much better on concrete and pavement.
I
though.
would say so.
Yeah.
So, looking at it from beyond the CDL license, I mean, that truck is a yard truck at best. You have the L88 8000.
Yeah, I adjusted the clutch 2 weeks ago as best as we could get it, and it's almost done. And I just putting $2,000 clutch in that truck doesn't seem to be the most responsible thing financially.
Okay, Jason, what else you got?
Last one I got for you is going to be a roadside mower.
You already have one, don't you?
We do. It is currently out of service with some motor problems. Spoke with a few people who have done motor work on the same tractor as the one we have, and they've put upwards of $15,000-$20,000 into it to get it going again.
No, this was used when you bought it, am I
It
correct?
was, yeah, yeah. So total, we have our tractor, and then we have a mower that actually goes on the 3-point hitch on our tractor. So this proposal here is kind of the worst case scenario if we have to buy a tractor and a new mower as well. So that's gonna be $175,000. And there's potential for that to go down if we just get a tractor and use our own mower. It's just, I wanted to make sure we had enough budgeted.
Do you know what the equivalent rental cost would be for you to rent some piece, hire somebody to drive a piece of equipment, or you rent?
So we got 8 miles approximately done this year, for $13,000. 8 miles on our 97-ish miles of road, 12 years. So 12 years at the 13,000, we're getting pretty close to where we need to be. And that's really not accounting for that 12 years of road. That first road you did is gonna be very much overgrown. So I think it's cost effective for us to have the equipment versus renting it and or hiring it out.
Okay, so, just so I get it straight, $13,000 for 8 miles, and
That's
that's
about what
the
it cost
cost of
us.
you to hire somebody?
Yeah, we hired it out.
And, okay, So you're thinking for the amount of roads we have in the town of Ware, a 12-year revisit cycle is,
That's what, if we kept on that same program we did this year,
okay,
before we touched every single road
Yep.
in town,
okay.
maintained.
A more realistic number would be every 5 years, I would think, for visiting each road, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but that's
So-
kind of the math I came up with.
So that would be like almost
versus what
30,000 a
this would
year.
cost us, yeah,
Jason, do you know what the state's paying for people to mow the sides of the road right now?
I don't.
I was just curious because they just mowed 149 and the guy was mowing with his own
Yeah,
mower. So I was just curious what the state was paying.
I believe they have a spec sheet with what they pay, and I believe it depends on the horsepower of the tractor. And it also may go with the
it's just like their
equipment
plow
that has
trucks,
it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a
So-
calcium tank, 10
Is it possible to get that number so we can,
I can get the number for you.
Yeah, I'm just
and
curious.
help rationalize
Yeah.
the cost of ownership versus, because not what's included in here is labor, maintenance, fuel in this 13K. Well, it would be in the 13K.
It would be in the rental, yeah.
But I'm saying against the price of your vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you're just buying the asset for the 12-year revisit for your analysis. So it'll be more than that.
Yeah, it's
if
gonna
you
be,
owned it.
you're gonna be your fuel and your help, your pay.
Yeah, I mean, when we had our mower, we had all that before, anyway.
How many
So-
miles, when the mower was running, how many miles a year did you do?
If it was running good, no breakdowns, he could get at least half the town done.
So,
That's a good job for somebody to get in and go for a while. 250-hour services, for oil, stuff like that, grease every day, but it's
so he did
it's not implausible to get
a little over
half.
40 miles in a year if he did.
Would you be able to get that state number for us next week too?
Yeah.
Because Naomi and I do our things, we get the presentation done, and I guess I'll be on the road show here in a couple weeks, so that'll be helpful.
Yep, yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Not a
Very
problem.
good. Oh, any other questions for Jason? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for being quick. Okay, anything else, Naomi? Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in
Make a
favor?
motion.
I
Thank you. Not yet.